I would now like to invite Mr. Ashish Jhalani, founder of eTailing India, to deliver a welcome note. Mr. Ashish Jhalani, who is the co-founder and CEO of MySolitaire.com, United States, in the past has worked as a retail expert for the Kurt Salmon in their New York office, and he helped clients such as Home Depot, Sara Lee Aprils, Tiffany and Company, Phillips Van Heusen to devise their operations and marketing strategy. I feel immense proud in informing you that recently eTailing India has embarked on partnering to launch Indian School of E-Business. Let's hear more on detail from Mr. Ashish with his warm welcome words and also through his in-depth study on growing influence of e-commerce in India. A round of applause for Sir. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the intro. So I have two jobs today. One is to welcome you. So welcome to eTailing India's first ever conference in Ahmedabad. This is one of those places we actually started opposite. We did a training session in Ahmedabad a few months back and realized the potential of the city and of the state and said that we want to expand our base from 5 cities to 6 cities, right? And Ahmedabad was the perfect 6th city that we wanted to go after. Anyway, so welcome. I think you will find the day very knowledgeable. Our goal is that you learn something from here and walk away. And as part, the second part of what I have to do today is to kind of get things started for you and talk about how e-commerce is influencing our everyday life, okay? Both from the end of how we use e-com and how the industry is starting to adopt e-com and retail. So again, growing influence of India, of e-commerce in India. So I want to show you one chart, and I'm glad that they have a long screen because if you look at the chart, right, this is a home, right? Today's home, right? You've got husband, you've got wife, you've got a son, you've got a daughter, right? A perfect family. Now, if you look at everything that we've marked, right, we've kind of identified where potentially on e-commerce they've bought those products. Just to kind of give you an idea that in today's urban household, how e-commerce would affect that household, right? And I just kind of took one area and kind of made it a little larger, so again you can see a little more clearly, hopefully, as to what kind of products. So if you look at the kids' toys are being bought from, let's say, a baby oil, right? And something being bought from Snapdeal, something being bought from Home Shop 18, etc. Right? So this, to me, is what the influence of e-commerce is today, right, to the end consumer. So just you need to remember that when I showed you the previous slide, everything in this household could have been bought on e-com today. Okay? Now, when we say that this family goes out and buys all these products, what does the industry realistically look like? Right? Because we hear a lot of numbers. We just heard that 3 of the top industrialists have kind of put in $3.5 billion or whatever that amount is. And yesterday, Jack Ma came to India to talk to Snapdeal about possibly acquiring them at some valuation, right? So what is the industry realistically today? Because we hear a lot of numbers, we hear different conflicting reports of what the industry is. And as part of our ongoing effort, we do research around this. And this is what we found. How big is e-commerce in India? So in about 2007, and let's say that e-commerce in India actually started in the 90s, okay? But realistically, very slow growth. In 2007 is when the growth started realistically happening, right? The industry was close to $2 billion in 2007. And for the ones that have heard these numbers before, I'm sorry, but for the ones that haven't, I think a lot of times it helps you kind of put things in perspective on the rest of the day, why we're talking about e-commerce today, right? $2 billion in 2007. If you look at, and I apologize, the chairs are blocking it. In 2014, the number is 13 billion, which is this year, okay? So we went from 2 billion to 13 billion over the 7 years. Now, the next 7 years, we're going from 13 billion to almost 90 billion, okay? This research was done in July and published in Economic Times. Now, since then to today, these numbers are being revised again. And now when we start looking at these numbers, the 90 billion looks more closer to 100 billion. Okay? So this is an industry, not only are we saying that the graph and the chart is going at that kind of a steep manner, but it's actually getting steeper by the day. okay? Because the industry is growing tremendously. More and more customers are coming online to buy. Again, just to put things in perspective, 2011, most of the e-com industry was controlled by the travel industry, right? You are CTC of the world, you make my trips, your Travelocity, etc. But 2014, we've already started to take that pie away from that. We went from having the pie go from 80% to 70%. And by 2016 or so, we think the pie we will have is almost 50% of total e-com market. Okay? That's a large movement if you think of an industry, right? Not only are you growing, but you're taking the pie away from the core of the industry, which was travel. The numbers on top, again, if somebody's interested, today we hold about 0.7% of the GDP. Another couple of years, we should be closer to 3.5% GDP. One of the other topics we will talk about later on today, or maybe even when I go to my presentation later, is where do we sell online, right? This is the biggest misnomer that you have about e-com. Most people think that products sell in metros, okay, and tier ones. Biggest misnomer, okay? Already when we had done the research, that number was that 40% sold in tier one and 60% sold in tier 2 and 3. Can we get that full, please?
More at a single source.
So 40% in tier 1 and 60% in tier 2 and 3. By the way we're estimating in the next few years, tier 2, 3, 4 and rural will be close to 75% of the e-com market in India. Okay? So it's not only are we saying that today it's 60% and that number might go down, we actually think this number will get much larger. Okay? And later on today we can discuss why the number in these tiers is growing and not in the tier 1s and metros. Okay? Now, what sells online? Right? Again, I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Right? The biggest category online is electronics and mobiles, which stands at about 34%, according to our research. Right? Apparels and accessories being the next biggest thing with 30%, books 15, beauty personal 10, home furnishing 6, healthcare 3, baby products 2. And I want to mention a couple of other industries that people ask us all the time why we don't mention on the charts. One is grocery. Grocery is something new, right? So when we did the research, the number was very small. Maybe in the next year or so when we do the research again, I think that number will be there, but that number was comparatively very small. And the other was services, okay? And services, again, just started online, right? A lot of these services were not being offered online. E-com was all about products, okay? Now that stance is changing where people are offering, where services can be bought online, either educational services or home products, home cleaning, pest control, AC servicing, everything today you can find online, okay? And actually you place the order online, not just you find it, but you place the order online. So how many buyers do we realistically have, right? We talk about a country that's this large. In 2014, we only have 25 million, and that's not us, right? Try publish that, 25 million online buyers, okay? And by 2016, they predict it'll be 40 million. Now, if you read a report that was just recently, a couple of days ago, published by Google, they're saying by 2016 we'll have 100 million. Okay, so you don't know who to believe, but you assume that the 40 will not be 40 in 2016. That number will be much larger, right? So our market is growing tremendously. Out of the 400 million internet users that we will have, or maybe 500 million internet users we will have, 220 million or more will be on a mobile. Okay, why is it important for you to know that? Is because today you have to look at mobile as your first strategy, not as your second strategy. Okay? Because in a few years, more than 50 to 60% of the traffic you will get will be from a mobile. Okay? So again, something for you to remember that when you're looking at strategies, when you ask questions later on today, your questions should be very much based around the mobile space because that's where our country, our industry is going. Something I like to say in almost all international forums that if I can talk at is that we have huge potential. Right? We all hear that India is going to be the youngest country, right? We hear that all the time, that India is on the path to be the youngest country in the world. While other countries get older, we're getting younger. Why is it good? Because if you look at the number on the right-hand side, 90% of the online population anyway is 25 to 44. Okay? And because the online population is 25 to 44, and that's what our core demographics will be in India, there's even a larger potential for us. Okay? Now, on the bottom, I kind of put just people's perspective. India today stands at $13 billion, right? US, which is 1/3 our size, stands at $252 billion. Okay? Let's put this in another perspective. You all heard China just had a big sale, what's called a Singles Day sale, right? $8 billion of sale by 5 p.m. They stopped counting at 5 o'clock. They didn't even count from 5 to 12 at night. $8 billion in a day, while we as a country do $13 billion in a year. Okay? Just putting things in perspective for you. So we're just getting started. I know people have said that e-com has been there forever, 7 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Realistically, if you look at the number, we've not even scratched the surface. Okay? Now, what are the factors that is driving India's growth, right? Another thing you need to understand, right? So more network people, obviously, as our internet penetration increases, so does the growth of e-commerce. Wide media exposure. This is very weird, okay? This is something very unique to India, okay? What has happened is every paper you pick up today, there is an e-commerce story. Doesn't matter if somebody is getting a fund or not. There is an e-commerce story. They will find something to write about e-commerce. Because of that, there is a lot more awareness that people are getting about e-commerce, and again, driving the growth for the industry. Growing aspirations of the tiered cities. This is what I said. Tier 2 and 3 sell more than a tier 1 in metro. Because truthfully, in a big metro, in a tier 1 city, you can go to the next door mall. And if you cannot go to the mall, you can go to the shops around you to buy something that you want, right? The aspirations that you have. Unfortunately, that does not apply to a tier 2, 3, 4 town, right? Because they don't have a mall. They don't have shops that they can just walk into and buy a Nike shoe. Where do they go? So they come online. So this whole aspiration thing is being converted on e-com. Regional language support is again helping the growth of e-com because players such as Snapdeal, etc., are launching their sites in multiple languages. Right? You're able to see the site in Tamil. Right? It does help. Okay? Not greatly, but it does help. Omnipresent channels. So again, this is something, a concept where you hear the big boys of retail, Chroma, etc., launching e-commerce, right? This is omni-channel. Omnipresent channel is basically a concept which is the channel is present everywhere, right? Omnipresent. Like God is called omnipresent, okay? Because God is everywhere. Now, these channels for online are present everywhere because wherever you are, you have access to your mobile, wherever you are, okay? And more, wherever you can go, you still have access to internet on your mobile. So you have, this channel is available anywhere and everywhere. It's not limited to your home, it's not limited to your office anymore, okay? More payment options. Again, unique thing about India, we have COD, but forget COD. All the new types of payment options being offered in India today, right? For everything from prepaid cards to wallets, etc., is driving the growth again. Okay? And the last thing that we have here, higher transaction security, because I think people were concerned in the old days a little bit that, hey, I put my credit card online, is it secure or not? Right? If I give it to a payment gateway, will it get stolen or whatever, right? Hacked into. But more and more security has come in place, and as such, again, putting trust in people's mind, driving the e-commerce growth. So, what are the basic advantages of e-commerce? Right? Why, even with those growth factors, why do people, or why you as a business should also be looking at e-commerce? Cost saving, the biggest factor. I think every business relates to this, right? That we need to save costs. Because if we save costs, that's better margins for us, or better bottom line for us, okay? So again, e-com gives you an ability to save costs because of multiple reasons, right? Your infrastructure today can be shared, right? It doesn't have to belong to you. So what we call SaaS-based, right? Software as a service, hardware as a service, everything as a service, right? So you don't have to invest in your own infrastructure. It can be shared infrastructure across the board, right? Again, today's e-commerce systems cost a lot less, right? Because you're paying monthly, you're not paying license fees, etc. The other thing is for retail to open a shop, right? You either need to buy it or you need to rent it. There's a lot of investment in real estate, either way. Right? A lot of investment in stocking that shop. Online, you don't have all of those, right? Because here, the cost is much less. Even the rental cost per month is much less for your online shop, if you want to call it. Anyway, and there is no inventory cost for you, because with whatever inventory you have, and taking some photographs, etc., you can launch your e-commerce portal, correct? So, again, huge amount of cost savings when you're online. Convenience, right? This applies both ways, right? Very convenient for a customer. Any time of the day, right? They can shop from you. For you, it's also very convenient because as a shop owner or as an online business, your shop is open 24/7, 365 days. Okay? You provide convenience. So I look at it from both perspectives. I don't remember what the slide says, but I look at it from both perspectives. Convenience for you and convenience for your customer. Okay? So you should look to go online and your customer will buy from you because you are available 24/7, 365 days. Second, convenience also helps because online you have ability to present products a certain way, right? Which makes it easy for a customer to buy from you. So groceries, for instance, right? They have been innovating and saying that, look, people have a certain purchasing habit. Let's give people that very quickly back to them. Because when they come back to us, it should already say that, look, last week you bought this, probably again you need to restock this week, right? That kind of convenience you cannot get offline, okay? So online, again, provides that kind of convenience for you. The biggest thing, wider geographic reach, okay? Your shop, your business is limited to whatever its area is, right? Whatever the locality is, maybe national even. But still, e-com goes beyond local, beyond national to international, right? It's good that we don't have, other colonies on other planets and e-com could probably go there, but at least for now, domestic, national, and international is what you get. Okay? So wider geographic reach, brick and mortar. Everybody says that in India, organized retail didn't grow beyond 10%. Right? Why? The reason was they could not go everywhere. E-com does not have that limitation for you. Okay? It can go anywhere you want, and like we said, if you have a mobile, it can go wherever you want it to go. Okay. Product promotion, offline promotions, advertising, whatever, is very expensive. Okay. Online gives you an opportunity to do this at a lot less. Right? We hear pay-per-click. Right? So you have pay-per-clicks, you have promotions you can run on Facebook and social media and other social media, etc. So, but the cost is relatively very low compared to offline. Okay, so even though the big guys will announce that it takes them 1,700 rupees to acquire a customer, right? That's not necessary that it would take you that much amount to acquire each customer. Okay, I talk to a lot of startups, a lot of companies that acquire customers at 300, 400 rupees, maybe even less if they do a good job of it. Right? So again, product promotion is an opportune thing online because it costs a lot less. Product customization, again, can't do this offline, right? You can't tell the customer that if pick this glass and I'll put this design on it and do this and show it to you. You can't do that. Online you can. You can pick any product, decide how it's going to be customized, show the customer what the end product will look like, and then go ahead and the customer places the order. This, again, ability that does not exist offline for you. Okay? So product customization is something that works very well online. Some of the more niche players concentrate on this category itself, right? Just customizing products. Timely information, right? Very important also. Offline, customer calls you at 7 o'clock and your shop closes at 5, they don't get the information they need. Okay? Online, it doesn't apply. Whenever, whatever time the information is needed, it's always available. Okay? I know it seems like a small thing, but I'm telling you, for a customer, this is a very big thing when at 8 o'clock at night you remember something, you log on and you research it. Okay? Offline you can't because the shop is already closed. Here, it is always there. the information is always available for you. Shortened remittance. So this for you businesses is something you should definitely think about, right? Online gives you an opportunity where the money comes before the product actually gets delivered to the customer, right? Because most times the customer is paying by credit card, debit card, net banking, etc. The money is collected before the product ships out. Okay? The only time the money gets collected at time of delivery is cash on delivery, correct? Or credit card on delivery, or whatever on delivery. But still, the money's, the cycle of collecting cash is shorter online. Okay? Offline also, you hear a lot of these small retailers talk about people taking things on credit from them. Okay? Because they know that customer, and the customer says, just send it to me, I'll pay you tomorrow or day after. Doesn't apply online. There is no tomorrow or day after, right? You pay, you get the product. So shortened remittances for the businesses themselves. Obviously, much better customer service. Like I said, you're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Okay? So the customers are very satisfied with your service because online gives you an ability to do that. Offline, again, you do not realistically have that ability to service a customer at all times of the day. Okay? Here, also for your convenience, by the way, you don't need to be at your shop. You can be sitting at home, or you can be at a party, or anywhere else. If your phone rings, you can pick it up and answer a customer query. If a chat comes on your phone, you can answer the chat, right? You don't need to be in your shop. And better customer service and all these other things drive better customer relationships for you. Okay? Don't forget, at the end of the day, you need to make sure your customer is satisfied. Okay? And if your customer is satisfied and a better relationship is made, they will come back to you. Okay? Something that most people kind of forget, that customer service and everything else drives the relationship with that customer. Okay? Again, I think the rest of the day, and I'm going to try to end my thing very quickly. This is the e-commerce ecosystem, okay? Which talks about the customer being in the middle of it, right? Talking about the customer interfaces, payment gateways, marketing, fulfillment, hardware, software, and on the bottom, and unfortunately, maybe you cannot see all of them, other support systems for this ecosystem. Okay? The reason I wanted to put this up is just for you to understand what this whole thing looks like. Okay? Because some people think online is about digital marketing. Right? First thing they want to do when they want to go online and you ask them is that I want to do digital marketing. Yeah, well, what about the rest of it? Okay? So this is the real ecosystem you need to look at when you go online. Okay? Today we'll cover a lot of these topics so that you can get better insights on these topics. But again, just so you know, this is how the ecosystem looks like. So the way I'm going to end this is to talk about what challenges do we think the industry is going to see, and in that we did a survey. And we asked everybody, what are the challenges you see in an e-commerce venture? Right? The topmost challenge everybody said was the cost of customer acquisition. This is how much it costs to acquire a customer to come and buy from you. Okay? Yes, that is true. That is the biggest challenge right now, because when you look at the big boys, right, Flipkart, Snapdeal, etc., they announce numbers such as 1,700 rupees, 1,800 rupees, 1,400 rupees. That's a lot of money to acquire a single customer. Because remember, the customer might not even be buying 1,800 rupees worth of stuff from you, right? So that is a challenge. But like I said, there's a lot of businesses that we meet that have innovative ways to get the acquisition cost down. Okay? They just have to make sure they offer a customer a value beyond proportion. Right? It's an unproportionate value that they will offer. Okay? Then next thing is logistics, which is how do you ship your goods? Right? Still, again, this problem I think was more apparent a few years back. Today, I don't know if you read a story about India Post. Right? India Post announced that they redid their whole system to accommodate e-commerce orders. That's a big thing. India Post is the largest and the most deepest connected logistics service in India. They go to more pin codes than anybody else, by far. When they announce that they're going to be supporting e-com, I don't think logistics becomes a challenge anymore. Because if nothing else, you can use them. And I'm telling you, people believe that that packages might get stolen, etc. I heard a story. One of a music company sends their expensive guitars only through India Post. You know why? Because it's a government-based thing, and if somebody gets caught stealing, right, there's penalties, right, in the government because they broke, they stole from the government. So now people are scared to steal from India Post, but they're not scared to steal from a DTDC, an Aramex, or somebody else. Okay? So what I'm saying is, yes, they're all there, right? DTDC is there, Aramex is there, Safe Express is there in logistics, but even India Post, which is our national postal service, they're supporting e-com. So I don't think that's a challenge. And funding, I think every business would say that funding is a challenge. I don't think so, because there are a lot of angel groups out there. They look for opportunity to invest, right? If a clear business plan is presented to them that has all chances of success, they will invest. And you hear daily of large investment companies announcing small funds to fund startups. Okay, so I know these are what people say challenges are, but I think that's just not knowing how to resolve the challenge or how to overcome that challenge. And the last piece that I'll cover, and forget the rest of them, that supply chain and procurement. Right? How do you get your goods? Right? How do you buy better? Again, if you use e-com to also buy, not just to sell, I think you'll also succeed in that sense. By the way, for the ones that are in wholesale, B2B e-com, 13 billion we said was B2C e-commerce. We had estimated that B2B e-commerce is closer to 55 billion in India. Okay, B2B. So business-to-business e-commerce contributes 3-4x of what B2C e-commerce contributes. Okay. In the US, just to give you a perspective, 252 billion is B2C. They predict it's about 700 billion B2B. Okay? Again, B2B, still a big concept, so what I'm saying is in supply chain and procurement, if you also use the B2B part of e-com, I think you'll be able to procure much better. And again, it's a big piece of e-com. So that's it for me. Again, thank you for coming. Welcome to the day. I think right after my session, we'll get right into some workshops, some panels, and I'll see you again because some of the panels I'm part of. But I hope you get the knowledge you're looking for when you came here. One of the things that I suggest every time I'm here is that please ask questions. At the end of the session, we'll keep time for questions. In case we run over, we can meet the speakers outside and ask them questions, but I suggest you ask questions and get them answered.